Hey guys, today I'm doing another review. As you can probably tell by the title, this review is going to be on Celeste. I'm going to be trying out a different voice than normal because my last one felt a little bit bland. I have actually played Celeste before this review and I really enjoyed it. So, I decided by now my opinions must have changed, and now I'm going to see if it stands the test of time. I will be reviewing this game on a few categories, just to give it a little structure. These categories will be different from the last video just to give you guys a little freshness. So, the first category is of course story. The next category is gameplay, and after that will be graphics, with the final category being replayability. So now let's start with the first category, the story. The story in Celeste is surprisingly deep for a platformer. The entire thing starts off with the main character Madeline going to climb Mount Celeste. This is no ordinary mountain though, where supernatural things happen while she's climbing that show what the characters are most, for lack of a better word, afraid of. For Madeline, this is her anxiety, which, while on the mountain, actually manifests into a darker version of Madeline, fully representing her problems with herself. There is a video made by Traven Talks that goes into more detail on that, but I won't because that's for smart people to do, not me. If you would like to go over to his channel and watch that video, I'll link it in the description. Another very important part of the story is the side characters. Every level has some important character that it is based on. Most go to the Madeline clone, Madeline, but the other characters like Mr. Oshiro and Theo are both great additions, along with an old lady who is unnamed. These characters help liven up the story and make the game have something to work towards. And at the end of the game, you get to see all of them in a collage photo, with a cake that changes with the amounts of strawberries you've collected. The characters also change along with the story, the two greatest examples being the Mirror Temple and the final level, which I don't want to spoil, so I'll talk about the former. The Mirror Temple is an ancient temple that's on the mountain. This temple magnifies the mountain's mysterious power. The temple eventually takes Madeline into one of the mirrors? I don't know, it's kind of confusing. But what I do know is the mirror takes them into basically what's an alternate reality and shows them what they are most insecure about or just afraid of about themselves, or it's kind of like their worst problems, and manifest those ideas into physical things. Like, for Madeline, there are monsters that try to hunt her down, and for Theo, there are eyeballs constantly watching him while he's stuck in a glass ball. That's about as much story as I want to talk about, so let's move on to the gameplay and stop me from going insane. The gameplay, to put it straight, is phenomenal. It is incredibly hard. It has only 3 buttons, like jump, climb, and dash. You might think that would make it dull, but it actually opens up the game to so much more possibilities than a normal game would be able to handle. The way the game stays interesting is by having its own special mechanic on each level that is completely unique to that level, except on the last level where they combine all the mechanics into one amazing conclusion. This stops you from doing the same mechanics over and over then, and keeps it really fresh and enjoyable. Like in the first level, there's moving blocks to activate when you grab or touch them, or bubbles in the Mirror Temple where you can actually go into them and it'll shoot you across the room. Another great addition to the mechanics is how the dash actually works. Most mechanics cancel the dash, and the dash cancels them. But the mechanic actually will reset the dash, which you only have one of in the air unless you touch the ground or use one of the mechanics that I mentioned earlier. The dash also gives you momentum after its use that allows you to go even farther and pull off even more complex things. Level design in this game is also just crazy. There are so many things that they do with it that I have no idea how they actually managed to pull off. But somehow, you know exactly where to go with no map. You know where everything is, and you can tell where secrets are, except the really hidden ones. The secrets in this game are really fun and creative and have a lot of amazing uses. These uses go from giving you strawberries, which you can use later, allowing you to talk to side characters early like Theo, or giving you B-side cassette tapes which unlock a harder version of the level. These cassette tapes also remix the song, which gives it a unique feel without taking away the original charm that made that level so amazing. Some secrets are also incredibly hard to find, where you have to go to secret areas and then in those areas find a code. They go to a new secret area and apply that code in order to get a reward. The game, though being hard, does not punish you super hard. If you die, you restart at the beginning of the room with an almost instant respawn. On top of that, you can actually find checkpoints so that when you leave and come back, you can start at that checkpoint that you found in the level, making it so you don't have to replay the same things over and over again just to beat a challenge that you got stuck on earlier. The only real bad things I can say about the gameplay itself is that sometimes it's really hard and you just want to quit because you might not like the gimmick entirely, or you're just tired of doing the same thing over and over. But the game makes up for this in the visuals, which brings me to my next point, the graphics. They are not hyper-realistic like some people want every game to be. They are very simplistic, using only pixel art except for its portraits. This style goes very well with the game and allows you to see more clearly, not having to deal with all the extra stuff that people throw in to make their game look more impressive. Being pixelated doesn't mean it's easy to do. There's a lot of things in pixel art that are actually harder to do than in normal art, like having to choose each individual color for shading, or having to do things like layer different colors on top of each other over time, and also you have to do each individual stroke. You can't just draw like half the picture in one stroke, or do the entire background at once. Also, during the beginning of the mission, the old site, the lighting is near perfect. There's a fire with amazing effects around it, which I have no idea how they pulled off. It also does an amazing job at setting the tone for the rest of the level. I know this isn't a lot, so I'll include music to this because I want to talk about it, but I don't really have enough space to talk about an entire part of this video on just music. Music does a lot of amazing things, like in a normal level, it'll just try and get you in the zone. On boss fights, it'll try to stress you out, and the sound between each level is meant to calm you down and make you feel like you've accomplished something. Another amazing part about it is in almost every level, there are different phases that it goes through, and in each phase, it slightly remixes the music to keep it interesting and to follow the theme that the level has now taken. This immersion lasts through multiple playthroughs of the game, which brings me to my last point, replayability. This game's replayability is crazy. Getting back to this game after about a year, like I said at the beginning of the video, I still found myself enjoying its levels and mechanics. Another thing about Celeste's replayability is that there are many things in the game that are made for it, like the B-sides I mentioned earlier. The B-sides change the levels to make them harder with the unique music to keep it interesting. It feels great going back to something that you've done before, creating a bit of nostalgia. On top of that, you'll almost never get a B-side in your first playthrough because they're all so well hidden and hard to find. Most of them force you to smash through a wall to find a strawberry, and if you look in that room, you'll eventually find a hole that leads you to the B-side. Once you beat a B-side, it gives you a heart. These hearts are used to get to the center of the mountain, but you can only get to the center of the mountain after you've gotten at least 4 hearts. I personally have 3 hearts at the time of the recording, but I hope I can get more to see what's inside, and I'm not going to look it up because I really don't want to spoil it for myself. One of the other good things about its replayability is the strawberries I brought up earlier. These really give you a sense of accomplishment for collecting them because some are incredibly hard to get. It's especially rewarding to check them out at the end of the game, because like I said, they make a cake, and the cake gets bigger and bigger with the more strawberries you collect, which prompts a new photo and dialogue from the characters about how good or bad your cake was. There's not a lot bad I can say about the game. It is one of my favorites and will always be. The only bad part is attempting a new level and trying to beat it in one sit. That is an incredible challenge. Most of the time, I just will rage quit by the end, or by the time I'm halfway through, only to come back like 30 minutes later to try again. Celeste is a phenomenal game, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to add a new and amazing game to their library. Really enjoyed making this review, and I hope you guys can enjoy it just as much as I did. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks to anyone who made it this far in the video, but just to clarify something so you guys don't rage down in the comments about how I messed up, and Celeste actually has more game to it after you get to the center of the mountain. You'd be right on that, and just don't post that. Come on. Alright, have a good day.